There's been so much work that I've had to do. I'm just completely swamped. With the beginning of second quarter coming around, we are swamped with projects and reports we have to get done and send to our bosses. Now, what does this expression mean, swamped? Well, first, let's start off and say that we use the expression with the verb to be. So you would say, I am swamped, we are swamped, we have been swamped with. That's the preposition that we attach with the expression. And it means to be busy, to be inundated with work, like a lot of work. When you're swamped, it means you have project after project, deadline after deadline that you have to meet, and reports you have to submit, essays you have to write. It just means you have a lot on your plate. For today's lesson, we're going to talk about the idiom, pull the plug. When you pull the plug on something, you end it. You prevent it from continuing. For example, let's say you're working on a team and you guys came up with this great idea, this elaborate plan for a prom theme, how you wanted to decorate, what you wanted the auditorium to look like. It was just extravagant. It was going to be amazing. However, as you executed this plan, you kept having to spend more money and you eventually went over budget. Now, after some time, the principal comes to you and says, I'm going to pull the plug on this whole prom theme idea. Meaning, I'm going to stop it. I'm going to end it. Let's cancel it because you guys have gone over budget and I just don't see how this is going to happen. So the principal pulled the plug on the prom theme idea. This is an idiom that can be used in several different ways. What you want to keep in mind is that when you pull the plug on something, it's typically an event or a process that is taking place. So maybe it began, something began, the planning began, the execution began, but then along the way, maybe you encountered some problems, difficulties, hurdles, and so for whatever reason, you started, but you weren't able to finish. What does it mean when someone says their hands are tied? It means that there's nothing that they can do. They are unable to take any action or perform any task or do anything that can benefit the individual. For example, you have been having a lot of issues with your college professor. You're pretty sure the professor doesn't like you and has been giving you bad grades intentionally. But you don't have any real tangible proof. You don't have any way to prove that this professor is being malicious towards you. So when you go to your dean, the dean says, unfortunately, my hands are tied. There's nothing I can do because there's no evidence of the professor's misconduct. And unfortunately, the dean is just in a position where they cannot choose sides unless there is actual proof. So their hands are tied. And when you think about it, the idiom makes sense, right? Because when your hands are tied, there's nothing you can do. You can't move them. You can't slap them around. There's really no way to free yourself when your hands are tied, when they're bound.